The desert stretched endlessly beneath the blood-red sky, the air thick with heat and silence. Somewhere among the jagged rocks and dust, a man lay broken. His name was Caleb Ward, a cowboy who had once been known for his steady aim and restless spirit. But now his hands were slick with blood, his breath shallow, and his horse long gone. A single bullet wound burned through his side, each heartbeat pushing him closer to the edge of darkness. The world spun above him, vultures circling, the wind whispering through the canyon like a final farewell. He thought of home, of the sound of laughter in old saloons, and of the people he'd left behind. It was strange how the mind reached for warmth when death was near. His eyelids fluttered, heavy as stone. He knew he wouldn't make it through the night. Somewhere in the haze, he thought he heard footsteps, soft, deliberate, almost too light to be real. He forced his eyes open and saw her. A woman stood at the ridge framed by the fading sunlight, her dark braids streaked with dust, her eyes sharp as an eagle's. She moved toward him silently, cautious yet certain. She was Naya, one of the few Apache left near the frontier. Caleb had heard the locals speak of her like a ghost, someone who lived between worlds, part healer, part legend. When she reached him, she knelt without a word, scanning the wound. Blood had soaked through his shirt, thick and dark. He tried to speak, but his throat was dry. "You shouldn't help me," he rasped. "People like me. We're the reason." She cut him off, her voice low but steady. "Quiet, save your strength." Her hands moved with purpose. She tore a strip from her blanket, pressing it against his side to stop the bleeding. The pain tore through him, and he groaned, gripping a handful of dirt. She didn't flinch. Her touch was rough, yet there was something steady in it, something that told him she'd seen death before and refused to let it win. The wind howled through the canyon, carrying the smell of sage and gunpowder. As night crept closer, she built a small fire beside them, its flickering light painting her face in gold and shadow. Caleb's vision blurred, the firelight fading to a dim blur. He felt the cold creeping into his chest. He whispered, almost pleading, "Don't waste your time." "I'm done." For the first time, she looked directly into his eyes. There was no pity there, only fierce defiance. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper but sharp enough to cut through the dark. "Don't go," she said. Something in the way she spoke, soft, urgent, alive, pulled him back from the edge. Her hand pressed against his wound again, and he could feel her strength, her will forcing him to hold on. His breathing steadied for a moment, and he realized he didn't want to die. Not here. Not while someone still cared enough to fight for him. As the stars broke through the night sky, he faded into sleep, her words echoing in his mind like a promise. "Don't go." When Caleb opened his eyes again, dawn had just begun to spill across the canyon walls. The fire had died to soft embers, and the cold air bit against his skin. For a moment, he didn't know where he was, then the pain in his side reminded him. He groaned and tried to sit up, but a firm hand pressed against his shoulder. "Don't move," Naya said quietly. She was kneeling beside him, grinding something dark in a small stone bowl. Her hair was tied back, her expression calm but focused. "You lost too much blood last night. Moving will tear the wound open again." He watched her in silence as she mixed the herbs with a few drops of water, creating a thick, earthy paste. Her movements were steady, precise, every motion practiced. Caleb winced as she peeled back the blood-soaked cloth and applied the mixture to his wound. It stung, but almost instantly the sharp pain dulled. "What is that?" he asked hoarsely. "Medicine," she replied simply. "My people use it to fight fever and keep death away." He tried to smile, but his lips barely moved. "Looks like it's working." She didn't return the smile, but her eyes softened a little. "You were close to crossing over," she said. "I could see it in your face. You stopped breathing twice." He turned his head toward her, studying the faint lines of exhaustion on her cheeks. "Then why didn't you let me go?" She paused, looking toward the horizon where the sun was climbing over the rocks. "Because too many have already gone," she said softly. "Too many good people buried in this soil." "I didn't want another ghost." For a while they sat in silence. The world around them slowly came alive. The sound of insects, the soft call of a hawk, the faint rustle of wind through dry brush. Caleb watched the way the light caught her face, how the fire in her eyes seemed to burn even against the morning sun. He couldn't tell if it was courage or pain that made her so strong. Maybe both. When he tried to speak again, his voice cracked. "I don't deserve your help. Men like me, we've taken everything from your people." Naya looked at him, and for the first time he saw sadness there, not anger, just an old, heavy sorrow. "You didn't take it," she said quietly. "You were just part of the storm." He didn't know how to answer. The truth of her words hit harder than the bullet ever had. He stared up at the sky, the clouds drifting lazily above. And for the first time in years, he felt something that had long been lost inside him: peace. As the day stretched on, she helped him drink from the creek and wrapped his wound again. He grew stronger, little by little, each breath easier than the last. Every time he drifted close to sleep, her whisper returned to him, soft, certain, like a heartbeat. "Don't go," she had said, and somehow he hadn't. He didn't know yet that her words would change everything, that the life she saved would one day be the same life that would save hers. But for now, all that mattered was the sound of her voice, and the rising sun painting the desert gold, promising that some stories, even in the harshest lands, weren't meant to end just yet.